Hello, everybody. Good to be here. Unfortunately, I could attend on Tuesday, but today I am here, and it's good to be back. So, while people are joining us, uh, today we're gonna study questions 147, 148 of the Spirit's book, which is about materialism. It's quite a long answer, but it's full of wisdom, of explanations, rationality, and so on. So we will for sure stay on these two questions this entire life. As you can see, Wanderlei is here with us,
Hello, guys.
and we are ready. So let's do the initial prayer. Okay, I will do it. I want to say thank you for this opportunity, asking for the good spirits to enlighten ourselves, inspire us, inspire everyone who is watching this conversation, and everyone who will watch in the future the same conversation. Please may the good spirits reach out our brothers and sisters who are in need, who are suffering, who are passing through a bad moment on their path to evolution. So be it. Amen. Okay. So everybody's quiet, Vanderlei, today. Nobody's writing to us.
Okay.
Probably they are scared with the size of the answer of these two questions here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, just a kind of recap here. Quick recap. We are studying book number 1, part 2. The main topic is the spiritual world. So we saw the progress of the spirit, uh, uh, um, not the progress, the order of the spirits. Then we studied the incarnation of the spirits, was the purpose of incarnation, all this. And now we will talk about materialism. What's materialism? What's the meaning of materialism? Kardec is referring here in this. He dedicated probably an entire sub item about this materialism, and reading it's give you a wonderful insights, a wonderful thoughts to us. Okay, shall we start? So it's important before we start to read the question here. It's important to analyze the materialism in the mid of the 19th century. Okay, I think that's because we cannot analyze materialism from our viewpoint as of today. We need to go back to the 19th century and see what Kardec was seeing at that time. Okay, prior the materialism, we have a classic philosophy when developed the materialists like Voltaire, Diderot, all these guys saying, okay, even though we had like Thomas saying, Jesus, I need to see you, I need to touch you. This kind of materialism was up to, let's say, 18th century, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Wanderlei.
No, you're correct. Yep.
Okay. In the half of the 19th century, a new class happened here, okay? Which is we can call this the uh, uh, classic materialism, okay, or historical materialism, which is more influenced by Kant, by Karl Marx, by Hegel, Frauenbauer, and these guys. What's the difference between them? One is, oh, I need to see material is everything I see and I touch. The other one is, let's define, let's see the materialism with a different eyes, not the eyes, because at the time we have the atom, we don't see atom, but atom is a material. Okay, great. So we have this little introduction before we start to discuss here. And on question 147, Kardec asked to the spirits, why are anatomists,
Physiologists. No,
physiologists,
Yep.
philologists, and those who specialize in natural science in general frequently led into materialism. Okay, so why these guys? They start to a scientist. The scientist led to materialism. Why? Physiologists relate everything that they can see. Okay, so we go back to the materialism from the 18th century. I need to touch to say, oh, this exists here. I can touch it, I can see it, so exist. Let's again remember Thomas when Jesus approached him after he's being after his resurrection or resurrection. Yeah, and Thomas said, I need to see, I need to touch in his wounds in order to believe that he is here among us. And then Jesus approached him and see, touch, but blessed are those who believe without seeing it, without touching it. This is my words, perhaps not, but more or less you got the idea. This is my words. Okay, so, and let's keep going the answer here. Because of pride, men believe they know everything and cannot admit that something could possibly be beyond their understanding. Their own knowledge makes them presumptuous. They think nature cannot hide anything from them. In other words, here, we are in that time. What's the concept here? We are in the time like the man was the center of the universe. Okay? So, I think we have Ptolemaeus saying that the earth was the center of the universe. You know, the earth was the center. And then what happened? Galileo came with the geocentrism, saying, no,
That was Aristoteles.
Aristotle, no, but Galileo said the same thing.
No,
Galileo said,
Aristoteles said before that the Earth was the center,
Aristotle said
not
it
Ptolemy. Yeah,
before, but
yeah,
Galileo affirms that. But Galileo almost was sent to be burned because of that, because this was against what the church at that time was believing, was saying to everybody. So, and he Galileo needed to make a kind of a
to
deal, no,
recall.
like we are, but we are not too close, something like he had to make some adjustments from what he was saying, otherwise they will burn him. Okay, so why we have to burn? We are not condemning the church. No, we are saying why we have this episode, because exactly what the spirits said here, because of pride. Like, I am the most important thing here, that's it, full stop. So we are more important, so we are the center, we are, so we never think about, okay, how everyone's so surrounding us. Okay, Madeleine, what more do you have?
I think the problem that we have here is just one. It's time. Why I'm saying time? Because the materialism that we have in the Kardec's time, like Stevan said, is a completely different materialism that we have today. Because a lot of things which they believe in the time of that materialism, we know nowadays that they are not really true. They weren't true. We are talking, for example, Isaac Newton, for example, who is a bit before, but the ideas of Newton after Einstein went and changed his ideas. Not that Einstein changed, but Einstein proved that some ideas of Newton they were wrong. Okay, so some ideas of the past now they are different. So materialism itself cannot be true, never be true, because it changes. The ideas that you have and the concepts that you have, it changed by time. Like Steven said, at the time when Aristotle said that Earth was the center of the universe, many believed it, and that's when the Catholic Church started to believe that this Earth was the center. It was because of an Aristotelic idea. So ideas change with time, but one thing that does not change, still haven't changed yet, like Steven said, is the man's pride, because we think we know everything. So the scientists that we have nowadays, a lot of ideas they cannot really understand. So what do they say? They say it doesn't exist. You see an example. If you take about about the concept of an spirit, there is many universities in the UK, in America, in Canada, in Germany, where they are admitting that there must have something which goes beyond the physical body, which they perhaps do not call spirit. They call it soul, and they don't have anything related with religion at all on that. They don't think about religion. They just understand that once we pass away, our intelligence stays alive. They do not know where it goes to. Okay, they do not know. Some people, as we're gonna see in the next question, they believe that it goes to the universe. It goes to the greater God or something like this. But now they are admitting there is something. So what I see here, the biggest thing that we see here in materialism is this. It's a matter of time that the ideas that we had in materialism of the time of Jesus have been changed. The materialism that we had in the 15th centuries have changed. The materialism that we had in that Kardec's time in the 19th century has changed, and the materialism that we have nowadays, it will change also. So a lot of things that now science, the current science, they say it's impossible, in the future they're going to become true. Not everything, of course, but in the future a lot of things that for us was impossible will become something that perhaps would be admitted in the society. So materialism here, I think the biggest problem that we have here, like Steven said, is pride. Once humans they start to admit Yes, we don't know everything, but we cannot say it's true or we cannot say it's false. But at least we're gonna be in the middle. I don't know yet, so let's give the presumption of the doubt. Like we take Carl Sagan, for example, an astronomer who I enjoy quite a lot. At least maybe I haven't read everything, but from what I read from him, he never really assumed 100% that there is nothing beyond um, Earth. There is nothing beyond. There is. He never said that there is no supreme power, but he never said there was a supreme power also. But the idea of this religious God, for sure, he would go against. So we have to try to bring
Who is the
religion
guy? You
and
didn't say the name of the guy.
Carl Sagan.
Okay.
So what we have to do is like this. When I think this about this question, we think about a problem that we had over the centuries, the separation between religion and science. Everything came from God. We don't have to split. Religion is here, science is here. What we have to understand is that they work together, but not in this mythical way which some religions have been bringing to us throughout century. We have to understand that religion here is not an institution that we are talking about, but we are talking about an idea that perhaps exists something bigger beyond us. And this energy is there is no way of being nothingness. As we can admit, nothingness cannot create anything perfect in the universe. So if nothingness, if the materialism was behind, the idea of materialism is that nothing exists, okay? That now I'm going to be living like today, and everything which exists is everything which I can touch. So this idea that everything was created by just an explosion, even if I agree with science that there was an explosion, yes, but there was a force behind this explosion. And that's what materialism goes against, that the creation of the universe, it was just an accident. And that's what we in Spiritism and most of the philosophies disagree. But that's it. Yeah, I think about this part, I think that's it, Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, I wanted to add, for example, uh, we needed to see, for example, can you imagine if Einstein was alive or developing his theory in the 19th century? Nobody will accept it. Nobody. No, or this will be left behind, something like this. Everything comes at the right time. That's why they say that the spirit says here they think nature cannot hide anything from them.
That's it, yeah.
So always we are discovering something. For example, the André Luiz books, what André Luiz disclosed in his books. Until now, I was reading like 2 weeks ago, they found something and it was already written in one of the books of André Luiz. I don't recall here what was the point, but so the book was written in 1950 something, 58, 55, depends on the, and they are proving it now, 2022. So, and this is more to come, more to develop, you know. And every time we are trying another example here, we can say uh, again, guys. I don't want to open this for a big discussion. I just want to say at the time when they were doing vaccines was totally different from the time they developed this recent vaccine we most of us was required to have. Like they didn't have internet. So for one lab communicates to other lab, perhaps take months. Today, they just call, they have a internet call in minutes, like we, Vanderlei, I probably we approaching here, Brazil, USA, Europe, our friends in Australia. So everything evolves, everything develops, everything is more. We have a kind of more contribution to this. Until 3 years, 5 years ago, an electric car was a concept. Today, and I would say the next 5 years, I will have a chance to own a electric car. And I never imagined, oh, so this is far away from me. So everything have your own time, everything happens. But sometimes, but most of the cases we need. So we need that way to thinking. Oh, the man is the center of your universe. We need that thought at that time. Because what we are today is because at that time someone had this way of thinking. Okay? But you can say, oh, of course, if they didn't think like we are the center of the universe, if they were not like too prideful and they use more collaborative and instead of come with this theory, they say, oh, they believe in Aristotle and supporting Aristotle, we will be different. Of course, we will be different. The same way, when you have your decisions, I wish to have the knowledge I have today and and have an opportunity to decide to take the decision I had like 20 years, 15 years ago. Okay? But we need this. So, again, what Wanderlei and I are saying here is in Kardec is not, they were not wrong. It's just what we had at that time. Okay? So, and then we go to question 148. Isn't it unfortunate that materialism may be a consequence of studies that should instead prove to man the superiority of the intelligence governing the world? Should we then conclude that such studies are dangerous? Kardec is brilliant. What he was saying here. Come on. If you, spirit, is saying to me now that the scientists, the philologists, they are prideful, they are just put the man in the center of everything, why we allow them to develop their studies? Because this could be dangerous for us. That's that's the questions. He's and I love it this way because Kardec was pointing the fingers to the guys and say, "Oh, I'm using your answer against you," you know. And this is amazing. This is what made Kardec totally different from not any other. We have very good ones, but in terms of the Spiritism, he is the top guy. And look the answer, the first paragraph, the first line. It is not true that materialism is a consequence of such studies. Men may draw wrong conclusions from them, as they can make an incorrect use of anything. So it's not the materialism, it is the conclusions. They may have a wrong conclusion, okay, because of some noises. We call noises like selfishness, prideful, self-interest, all these things, which is not true today. Huh? I'm saying this is still valid. So this led to wrong conclusions. These wrong conclusions, it is the consequences. But this take us to question 799 and question 800 of the Spirit's book. Question 799 says, how can Spiritism contribute to progress? Answer, by destroying materialism, one of the source of society. It makes men understand where their true interests lie. Okay, so Spiritism came here to allow men to, to think. Okay? To think. This is why Kardec says, after this answer, there is a long test from Kardec. It's Kardec, not the spirits. Okay? It is Kardec. And Kardec raised a lot of questions here. Okay, if the materialism is correct, so I'm learning of this, I'm spending my time working, giving all my efforts in order to be a better person, in order to provide a better life to my family. I go to bed late in order to study, having course while I'm father, we passing by all these two problems. If at the end I will die in this, sees, oh, thank you for nothing. More or less, it's like this was Kardec saying here, and this is something we need. What Kardec is doing here is push us to use our rational. We use our conscious. Do you agree, Vanderlei?
Oh, I agree, especially here in the long text that he has here, because here he does not confirm or affirms anything. I'd say rather here he has many more questions, But one thing that clear he says, like Stevan said, it's like this, that cultures, groups of people in the past, even logical sense, says to us that something must exist. The idea that nothing exists after death or that nothing exists beyond the human knowledge is quite ridiculous, because until a few years ago we thought that we were just had like about 90 planets in our solar system. Now we know that thanks to the Hubble and the studies that we have nowadays, that we have over 200 billions of galaxies in the universe. So to presume that we know everything by our own glasses does not make anyone clever. And Kardec here, I believe he's asking more, like if there is nothing, as like Steven said, what's the point? But as we said, our logical sense makes us to doubt and to grasp that there is something else. But what is this something else? We're not talking about religion, but something exists beyond what our knowledge, And here there is some parts, that he says, like if you take, let's say, a family that, like Steven, okay, Steven and Chris, they raised their own daughters there. They did their best. They gave all the love and effort. And for what? If they're gonna die, everything is gonna end. If there is no purpose in life, what's the point of keep going? So if we go back to this kind of mentality we have here when Kardec say that a society is founded on such base that would contain its own dissolution and its own seeds of dissolution if we start to believe that nothing is the what exists to us, and that we members of society would hurt ourselves like animals. So once we start to believe that there is no point of being good, there is no point of doing anything extra, and that there is nothing after, there is nothing beyond us, what's the point of being good? What was the point of being nice? Why do I have to care for the other if nothing exists? Let's enjoy life. Let's only fulfill my pleasures and my needs. Steven's needs, I don't care. The other one's needs beside me, I don't care. If you're in a relationship, let's just fulfill your needs. Your partner, who cares? And Kardec is asking this. And Kardec in the Spirit's book says to us also that once we go back to this old mentality, we are becoming more like animals. And that's what Kardec is fighting against here, I believe, this reply, talking about materialism, that we should not act like animals, that we should use our knowledge, our feelings, and our perhaps our instincts, that there is something bigger than us in order to take the best decision, and not only because science says and we should go and say that's it, science says this, but science had something different before and it has changed, and what they are saying here right now probably it will change. What do you think, Stevan?
No, it's completely right. And also the spirits complements the answer. This is the end of the answer.
Yeah, that's
When
yeah.
of the edge, and he says, these guys who believes that you die, finish, boom. When on the edge of the abyss that opens before their eyes, throw them a lifeline, and they will readily cling to it. So, in other words, it is those who say, "Oh, I am theist, thank God," or "I am atheist," but at the moment they are gonna crash the car, the bus is coming in front of him. We believe sometimes they say, "Oh my gosh, no, oh God, please have something like this." So, and then you perhaps is thinking now, okay, why we have this? Why we have this type of positions still nowadays? And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, please ask us. Write in the comment box why we have this, and then we can go to and the answer for this. It's on question 800. Kardec asked, should we not fear that Spiritism may not be able to triumph over man's negligence and over his attachment to material things? Answer: it will be to know very little about men to suppose that any cause could transform them as if by magic. Ideas change little by little according to each individual, and several generations are needed to completely erase old habits. Transformation, therefore, can only be realized with time, gradually and progressively. That's what happened to us. That's, you see, that we needed that time, Aristotle's. We need that time the geocentrism. We need that time Galileo reaffirmed. We need that time those scientists doing it. We needed Einstein. So, in order to change, computer is several generations are needed to completely erase old habits, and this is what happened. we don't have the same habits like our parents used to have, and for sure our sons and daughters will not have the same habits that we have. Proof of this, like uh, Vanderlei, we grow without internet, without video game. It was the beginning of the. It
The
was the.
game, yeah.
It was the when we have like 14, 15 years old. But from our, I don't know, 4 years to our 10, 11 years old, having fun is play on the street,
Mm.
playing with wheelchair, marbles, running, buzzing people's doorbell and and run away, all these all these things. So this was fun. But this generation, what they gonna do? When you say, "Oh, go outside and play," it's boring. I don't want. I want to see my YouTube here or TikTok or whatever. No, a baby now, if you give a phone, they already know how to change the screens. So everything is kind of erasing the old habits. So that's evolution, that's progression. And then we have a question here from Linda. Thank you, Linda. Maybe those people that think only of themselves, it's okay. They will have to come back to move forward. That's exactly what we are saying here, Linda. Exactly like this. Perhaps they need it. We cannot say they are wrong. We can say here that, oh, review your beliefs, review, use your rational faith, use your intelligence in order to find. Do not just accept because on that day Stevan Vanderlei said it. After we finish here, go to question 147, 148, read yourself, take your conclusions. If what we are saying here help you, happy days. If it don't help you, okay, happy days as well. Perhaps, I don't know, in 10 years' time, 11 years' time, Vanderlei and I are back here studying the Spiritist book again, talking, we will have a different interpretation. Why? Because we were wrong today? No, because we have more experience. We have more episodes happening in our life that led us to think differently. More situations in which erase previous preconcepts that no longer needed today. Okay? You want to add something, Madeleine?
No, it's just something a little bit different, Steve, because the reply here from the comment from Kardec is huge. There is a part here that you said before. Let's say when someone is close to death, they say that they are atheists, but suddenly they start to believe in something. And Kardec says here that humans they believe in something naturally. For them life is not over. And only a handful of people that really don't believe in something. But most of us, once we are closing to the end of our time, we will find something to believe. So this principle, it's an interesting principle, because once we go back again to the materialism of the 19th century, when a lot of discoveries they were being created by men or discovered by men, photography, X-ray, the vapor máquina a vapor, Stevan, vapor machine, no,
Steam machine.
steam machine, guys, thanks, sorry. A lot of things have been created by man that time. So that time, man, he thought he was at the center of the universe. He thought he knew everything. But again, we go back to that principle. This idea that nothing ends is not something that, let's say, Christianity has created, that we only start to believe because of Jesus, for example, but all the traditions, they believe on that. All the people 10,000 years ago, all the groups of people, they had this belief. But of course, some people who, let's say, who were in the Middle East, they would believe in a kind of God who was a bit more severe, a bit more dry, and let's say was a bit stronger and was a bit harsher. But while some people, let's say, who were in the South America 10,000 years ago, they would believe that God is nice because there was a lot of waterfalls, there was food, there were fruits, it was warm. So it doesn't matter where you come from, all the people around the world, they have this idea, that something, well, there is something. And here Kardec keeps trying to bring this point again, because there is no chance that when someone is really close to death, not no chance, okay, but hardly ever, even that person does not say a word inside of their heart. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe that person is going to be like Stevan said, please God help me, when that person is in a really tough situation. Maybe a materialist says nothing believes, nothing exists, or he does not believe in anything because he has a good material life. But perhaps that the same person, if he had a child who was in the hospital, if he had a child who had a cancer, or had an accident, that person would change, their point of view. That's why we see a many cases where Divaldo Franco bring to us that many doctors and scientists throughout history, they never believed in anything, but then they have a personal problem, and then suddenly they haven't started to believe in Christianity per se, but they start to believe in something bigger. Carl Gustav Jung, he never really believed in a Christian God, but he believed in something bigger. He knew that we are just part of something, and this something is just existing to evolve, to keep existing. That's why we have what we call the unconscious collective unconscious that Jung mentions, that it's our beliefs from the past. So all these our beliefs from the past, once you take the Kardec's idea here and Jung's idea, is just to say that the idea of something always exist among everyone. But of course, if you want to believe there is nothing, happy days. But like it says here in the last part of the Kardec's the Spirit's reply, however, throw them a life preserver and they will eagerly grab onto it. So if they're in a difficult situation, if you give something to them, they're gonna grab because it's something natural to them. So Kardec here in this comment, he keeps fighting, the ideas, and also here he goes, instead of fighting materialism now, he's talking about church, he's talking about religion. When he says, so what is life then? Is to believe in something that if you do good, you go to hell. If you do bad, you go to heaven. What's that? And Kardec does not agree with that also. Kardec believes that, yes, whatever we do here, we're going to have consequences. But it's not like this, black and white. If you do this or that, you are condemned. No, there must have a middle way, And Kardec keeps saying, that here he says, that Spiritism actually comes at the right time when God allowed the Spiritism to come in society to what? To start to open our hearts and our minds in order to help us to believe in something else, not to don't believe in anything which was in the past. Because like Stevan said, everything and everyone who came before, they had their share, in the good done on earth. But at the same time, we are coming to a new era where we must change our way of thinking. And because if we keep holding the same principles like we kept 2,000 years ago, there will be no evolution. And that's why Kardec says here that Spiritism is the most powerful religion's aid, because it helped us, and God allowed the Spiritism to come right here now to help us to improve our hope in the future. So everything comes in the correct time in life, not comes too late or nothing comes before. Everything. How about Stevan?
Yeah, and also Kardec says here, religion also teach us that we shall be happy or unhappy according to the good or evil we have done. But what is happiness that await us in the bosom of God? Are the flames of hell a reality or only an allegory? Where is this place of torture? So, it's questions. Probably not just the atheists, but everybody of us always think about it. For those, even though for those spiritists, those who came from a Catholic religion, they think like hell is the lower zones. What more we're saying? Hell is the lower zones, and uh, if I'm suffering, it's because I did something in the past. So come on, guys. Let's use our brain. Let's use our autonomy. Let's use our way to think. Okay, for every cause there is a consequence. And also they say like heaven is not solar.
Mm.
So no solar is not even in a heaven, because lo solar is close to the earth. So heaven is something. If we think like no solar is a good thing, can you imagine heaven? So it's not a place. It is your mind. It is your conscious. It is your prideful. It is your selfishness. As more as you are detached from it, more you think irrationally, more you think uh, 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 with a good sense of conscience. Uh, for example, we can go now to chapter 1, item 16 of the Genesis. Chapter 1, item 16 of the Genesis, which says, I say here, one sec. As this latter class of principle is one of the forces of nature, as it acts incessantly and reciprocally upon the material principles, the result of it is that knowledge of one cannot be complete without knowledge to the other. That separated, they are incomplete. That science without spiritism finds itself utterly powerless to explain certain phenomena by laws of matter alone, while spiritism without science would lack support and control. The study of material laws should precede that of the spirituality, as it is matter that first touches the senses. If Spiritism had appeared before the scientific discoveries, it would be rejected, as is the case with all that comes before its time. Okay? So, in other words, what's saying here, everything has your own time. We need the materialism, then we need the spiritism. One complements the other. And this, I go to your question, Linda. Just let me finish this string of thoughts here, and then we can see what Kardec wrote here. What's the mission of the Spiritism? The mission of Spiritism is precisely to instruct us regarding that future, to allow us, in a way, to see and touch it, no longer through reason alone, but by means of empirical evidence. It is exactly what we just read in the Genesis. In some situations, science can show us, but cannot explain, and Spiritism has the explanations. So one is complement the other. What Linda asking us here. Can a person be held accountable for wrongdoing if they are not aware and evolved? Linda, I would say uh, it is, but not too much evolved, too much,
Responsible.
yes, responsible, because it's unaware. They did because they think it was good. It's different from us when we know, you know, you're doing a wrong thing, you know this is going to harm someone, but you go and you do it. So it's different weights, different measures, but for sure that wrongdoing, that person will respond for it, but with less responsibility because it's unaware. It's like
Like a
God,
child.
God's a father. It's like your son, Linda, for example. If you didn't teach him or her to do something, and for out of the blue they start doing, they do it wrongly, you're gonna be angry with them. You're gonna say, "Hey, stop it!" But you say, "Oh, come on, come here. This is how to works. That how we do use these that." So you will teach them. So if us, so imperfect as we are, we do not go against those who do something uninvolved, like you said, God, which is way, 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 way higher than us. And if you want to complement something, Wanderlei.
Yeah, it's just because, like in the Spirit's book, Kardec is quite clear that everything is a matter of the intention in the heart when the being is doing that action. So let's say if you don't know what you are doing, but your intention is good, like Stevan said, let's say you had a good intention, it's all right. You're still going to be responsible. But if your intention was bad, even if you didn't know if that was good or bad, you're still gonna, let's say, pay in full because your intention was bad. So we're gonna give again a very classical example from to say this about Paul of Tarsus. Once he did what he did against the Christians, he believed he was doing the best.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
believed he was, killing because God, Jesus was an impostor, and all that apostles they were crazy and they were destroying the Jewish faith. But it did not make Paul not reliable for what he did. If you see in the book Paul and Stephen, we see how much Paul had suffered throughout his journey. But why would he suffer? He didn't do anything. Probably he was like, I'm not saying that's not what the book says, but if you analyze, probably he was, he was fixing the law of action and reaction was playing on him by all the torments that he did while he was young, you know. So as in simple English we say he was paying for what he did in the past. But even if what he was doing, he thought was correct. So nothing escapes, the law of action and reaction. And it's not God who is punishing us; it's ourselves. Because once we go to the spiritual world, because our mind is much more open, our senses is broader, we see that we did wasn't good. So then we start to condemn ourselves. It's not a God who goes, "Or Steven, you killed someone. Sorry, but you didn't know, but you're gonna go and pay for that, even if you didn't know." So there is no spirit who is condemning us. It's our conscience which is condemning us because we start to see what we did, and we know that what we did wasn't good. But of course, one thing also about Linda's question, that this question, I believe, Linda, with all respect, could be plausible 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. Nowadays, we all know what is good and what is bad. Maybe if I go to a different country and I don't know that if I stop in the pedestrian lane with 1 feet, I'm gonna get a fine. We are not talking about this type of wrongs here, about small things. Oh, here you cannot use your Wi-Fi. Here you use Wi-Fi. We are talking about things which makes some difference in our life and the others. So nowadays we are in a time that we cannot say, I don't know that causing harm to someone wasn't good. I didn't know that if I was lying to Steven wasn't good. I didn't know that if I was, let's say, cheating on my husband or wife wasn't good. No, we know that our actions now, what are good and bad. Perhaps we don't know how to explain, but we know when they are good or when they are bad. So everyone nowadays, I believe they're gonna be held responsible in full, because according to the Spiritist teachings, there is no young spirits incarnated on earth at this time. All these spirits who are here at the moment living, they are spirits who had plenty of reincarnations. So they know what's good and bad inside of their heart, in their conscience. We are not like just spirits created by God like 1 year ago. It's our first reincarnation on earth. According to Xavier, there is no spirit on earth who is having their first reincarnation nowadays. All the spirits who are living on earth have been reincarnating before several times, which means that we know what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah. And just to finalize here, we have 3 minutes. Kardec keeps saying that thanks to spirit communications, the future is no longer a conjecture, a probability that each depicts as he pleases. Is there anything against religion in this? On the contrary, skeptics shall find faith in it, and the half hearted renew the fervor and confidence. Hence, Spiritism is the most powerful aid of religion. Why? Because, oh, I am Catholic. The Spiritism teachings will not go against the Catholic. They will just make you use your reason of faith and become a wonderful Catholic person, a Protestant person, Jewish, and so on. We are not here to convert anyone. We are not here to say Spiritism is better than this or that. No, that's completely wrong. We're just saying here the Spiritism complements what the others religion does explain, and just make you to use your brain, use your rational, your rationality. That's it. Simple like that. Okay. That's it. We did it. We did it.
Yeah, and next week we're going to start chapter 3, the return from the corporeal of the spirit life, question 149, which is a
Yes.
very nice chapter to study, to be honest.
Yes. Yes. Anyway, thank you once again for your time, for your patience, for your questions. I know there are more people watching us, but you didn't write anything. So, whatever you are, thank you for listening us. Thank you for uh, everything. So, Don, thank you, Don. I knew you were there, my friend. I knew. I had the feeling you were watching us. Thank you, Don. Thank you very much. Okay. So, this is it for today. And Mandalay, would you mind to do the final prayer, please?
Sure. Let's close our eyes. Taking a deep breath. Let's thank God, our Master Jesus, and the good spirits. Let's ask that the good spirits who are surrounding us to clear our perispirit, to clear our mind, to clear our heart from all the bad thoughts, bad feelings that we are carrying. Let's ask spirituality, the high spirituality, to help us in our daily life and daily decisions, inspiring us always to do best, to do what's good for us and for the others. But let's not forget, they cannot force us. So let's be wise in order to use our free will in the best way possible. And let's ask our mentor, who is a friend of ours, to be with us all the time. But let's remember that we must also generate good thoughts in order that this good spirit, be with us. We must be doing good things, thinking good. So let's do our part also. Thank you, God, for this knowledge that Spiritism brings to us in order to put us in the center, not in the center of the universe, but in the center of our destiny and choices. Thank God, and so be it.
Thank you all. I'll see you on Tuesday. This Sunday, it's Samantha's talk, 11:15. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe. Stay well. See you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Good night.
Wanderlei.